good, guys? It is your boy Wally J, and today I'm bringing you some Aion 2 content. I've been playing Aion 2 since it launched, but I have been wary or taking my time to get some content out to you guys because I was not an Aion 1 vet. So there was a lot that I needed to learn, and yes, I could have shared things that y'all are learning along with me, but I would rather drop content where I know I'm talking about. So just a little bit of background on where I've been and what I've been playing. Been playing Chanter. I'm 100% free to play. I'm knocking on 2700 right now. I believe I'm a second class soldier, and that's because I've literally farmed like 250k abyss points in the past like 5 days. I was sitting at fourth or fifth class. I can't remember exactly now. But I finally said, you know, forget it. Let's just hop in abyss, and I've been farming like crazy. It feels amazing. Big reason for that is I did finally get my chromed staff. What happened to Chanter today? Why does it feel so good? Basically, the biggest thing that I will say that changed, and I'll get more into the details, is every single one of our skills now is affected by combat speed. So before it feel like we got pretty animation locked in a lot of things, but now all of our skills are coming out fast, and it not only is it's not just a hey, like, do I hit harder or this. No, the question also is just, does the class feel good? And getting this additional attack speed makes the class feel so much better. Now, do we still suffer from an identity crisis? And the reason why we kind of feel bad right now in the meta, yes, because we still don't have a space that we excel better at than anybody else. You're still always going to want a gladiator in certain situations. You're still always going to want a lockdown Templar. You're still always going to want a better DPS in a Sork or an Archer, or even an Ellie, right? Or even the CC from an Ellie. But you have to understand what you bring to the table as a Chanter. If there's one thing I will share with anybody, Chanter, you can do everything. I almost feel like when I was making these videos and thinking about the guides, is there are so many ways to build Chanter that are reflective of how you decide to play the class and how. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm gonna just let you guys take a look at my armor. My armor isn't too crazy. I do want to change a couple of things, but two things I really wanted to highlight with this armor right now is I do have almost a full PvP set. I'm missing what, 4 pieces, technically 3 armor pieces in my guard. Well, and technically my weapon are not PvP pieces, but everything else is. So that does play a big difference in whether or not I'm going to be performing on and not in PvP. I did recently get my chromed staff. This staff feels amazing. It did take me a little bit to push for these traits within my staff, so that's just something that, you know, may take a little bit of time, but definitely worth the investment. I would say that this extended range works and helps not just in PvP but also in PvE. There are so many times where I feel like bossing has gotten so much easier for me, maybe because I've gotten stronger, but also just because of the added range to the class. It just helps you walk out of mechanics a lot easier. It almost feels like you're a ranged DPS. And then I did recently get this new guard and wave blow. I'm going to talk about wave blow here in a second because I do think wave blow has got a really strong buff, and we do want to be able to play into that. But one thing that I did also get yesterday that was huge is I'm running a seal and a stun Theostone. So seal, for those of you guys who do not know what seal does, seal is basically silence. Seal is saying, hey, you can't use any of your skills, not even your basic attacks. Like, it's tough when you get sealed. You literally just kind of are stuck spectating the game. You can walk around. It's not like some other ones, but it can feel pretty bad when you do get sealed. And then I finally did get stunned. I saw it in the Black Cloud Merchant yesterday. I had a couple of quick runs to get about 2 mil and ended up buying a stun Theostone. The reason I bought the stun Theostone is because all of our damage is going to be coming off of a stun, so you need to be making sure that you are stunning your targets, and it's just going to help that every single one of your skills, every time you do an instance of damage, you now have a chance to stun. So really strong. I highly recommend, and this is for any class, I highly recommend that if you're going to get a Theo Stone, get a really strong one. I would recommend Seal. I just think Seal is the best to choose. And then choose another one that helps with your combos. So something that is going to allow you to facilitate your combos, and you are just going to get the most value from that. That's just how that's going to look, right? I know some people also run it like Seal Paralyze. I think that works amazingly for range classes, but especially as a melee DPS, Paralyze doesn't really do too much. So I've gone with Stun, because when I do stun you, I can do a damage combo. All right. So let's get into the skills and kind of what I've been building, how I've been building this. So I've kind of been blessed. I haven't been like hard focused on any skills in particular, really outside of Dark Rush and Recuperation. But I have been blessed to have a lot of skills hit 16. Yesterday, I was able to get these 2 skills to 16, Wave Blow and Rushing Smash, thanks to that new guard that I got. So I also have Incandescent, Impactful Crush, Dark Crush, Heat Wave Blow, and Recuperation all at 16. Talk about why I have chosen these skills and how I have chosen them. We won't talk too much about Onslaught. Onslaught's pretty simple. We just do multi-hit and -1 second on Spinning Strike, just to do as much damage as possible and create some more uptime for our Spinning Strike, which does a lot of damage and feels amazing due to the combat speed changes. So I guess before I fully hop into these skills, for those of you who do not really know what changes happened to Chanter yesterday, are basically all of our skills now are affected by combat speed. So before, we were pretty much, animations were locked to a set duration is what it seemed like, and now based on what they changed, everything is now affected by combat speed. So I think one in particular that probably you felt a lot of is Dark Crush is an amazing skill. You want this stuff, you want it with the no cooldown, but even with no cooldown, it was almost like you were moving in slow motion, dropping those rocks. Now, as y'all saw in those clips, I am launching them things like nobody's business, and it feels so good. Everything you're doing now has combat speed into it, so it just feels amazing. You actually feel like, I mean, if I'll say it, I feel like what a gladiator was looking like a couple of days ago. Yeah, I'm not doing the pulls, and yeah, I'm not doing this, but that speed of which they're hitting their skills and being able to actually do things, that's what it feels like. It feels like I pull up, I blow you up, and I'm able to run, or not run away, but I'm able to walk away and go to the next opponent. Whereas before, I felt like, yeah, we were doing really good damage, but now, but before it took a long time. It was like you had to at least need 10 seconds to really do a big, decent chunk of damage, in my opinion. And now it's like, because of all the uptime on skills with the cooldown, you just blow people up. So, another item that got updated that I will talk about right now, because we are getting into individual skills, is Wave Blow got the last two, the 16 and the level 12 and the level 20 skill specialization or modification or effect, however you want to call it. They got updated or modified. So now we get a -20% to target's damage boost, which is pretty massive. Obviously Wave Blow is going to knock some people onto the ground. They'll be on the ground for 3 seconds. So that means once they get up, you have 7 seconds where they are doing 20% less damage to you, which is insane. Also, having the -5 second cooldown is really good. This used to be on the down strike. It would be a AoE attack. That AoE attack, it wasn't good. It was not doing it for us. Like, you get to 16, it almost felt like a waste on this skill. But now, getting to 16, I am stuck in between whether I want this -20% target boost or if I want the -5 second cooldown, because now that I have the Stun Theo Stone, I'm always going to have the uptime to be able to have wave blow, be able to get a combo off. So I am stuck between that. I'm currently going with the 10% damage boost because I haven't needed the extra 5 seconds until now. And damage and being able to reduce a target's damage boost is insane, especially with some of the other buffs that we got. So cool deal. Next, some other key items that I have made sure to get within my build are I've got incandescent blow to level 16 and make sure to get the 16 on so that you land a stun anytime you do the bursting blow. Once again, we do all of our damage off of stun, so being able to stun as much as possible feels amazing. A lot of times you're going to be holding right click while weaving left and, well, I should say holding right click and weaving in left clicks, because you do get the 200 block, and there are other reasons to have this block. We are a class that loves using block. We have one of our main skills comes off of block, and then a lot of our passives actually use block to heal us up and give us some other things. Rushing smash, I did also get to level 16. I have gone ahead and switched this up. I was using the 5-second cooldown, however now I've switched it to the 50% chance for heat wave blow on landing it, and then I also changed this from removes MP cost to restores MP to go ahead and give me a block and evasion buff to ignore, and then obviously create it as a multi-hit. This is really strong just because, yes, we kind of lose some of that rush down, but if I'm stunning you, I should not need it as much. Also, because of how I have set up heat wave blow, which I'll talk about here in a second, being able to have heat wave blow proc off of this move is amazing. So you basically just always have heat wave blow on a high uptime cooldown. And now this skill hits for a lot, almost 8k, right? You want this skill to hit. When it misses, it feels terrible. When it hits, it literally can chunk somebody's half of somebody's health bar. So this just feels amazing. And then we were running into a lot of people who are running very, very high evasion builds. I've been working on my accuracy. My accuracy is not too amazing right now. I think I just got it up into the 500s with no precision, which that's what I'm on my search for now. But yeah, so until then, until I have a crazy amount of accuracy and I don't feel like I need to worry about somebody's evasion, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this here. Next, I have Impactful Crush also at 16, and we go ahead and get the extra 20% stun chance, and then the chain skill. This chain skill hits insanely hard, right? It hits up for 9k on the upper ends. This first one literally hits for 6k, so an extra 3k. Just this skill alone can hit for 15k. Insane. And then having the extra 20% stun chance, so once again, we want to stun somebody, do our damage, run and rinse and repeat, you feel me? And I will say, once I got this 20% stun chance, everybody started getting stunned by this move. It's actually insane how much this 20% made a huge difference. I went from feeling like I was throwing a limp noodle to I was throwing bricks out here. So next, I've gone to I've kind of gone through a couple iterations of how I've built my Dark Crush. What I've landed on is using the chain skill and the no cooldown for PvP. The chain skill, it just hits so hard. So to not bring the chain skill is insane. And now that you have the added attack speed, you can get 3 of these combos off at least a lot of times within a wave blow combo, within a stun combo. So being able to get the extra, what is it, 3k that you were getting from an extra 3k for the extra 3 hits that you'll do, which is another 9k, right, is a lot of damage to not consider. Also, what I've felt and I've noticed is the piercing strike drops a lot faster anyway from the Dark Crush. So being able to get this online, it just feels good. You're doing a lot more damage and you're actually doing more hits. Well, I shouldn't say more hits. Now we're doing about the same amount of hits thanks to the attack speed buff. Next, we have Heat Wave Blow. Heat Wave Blow is actually one of the skills that if I had a priority to get to level 20, this would be probably the #1 move. This or maybe Incandescent Blow. Heat Wave Blow is it's insanely good. This is our skill that when we block, we get this skill, and we have the chance to now We have the chance to, we could have the chance to stun. I don't run the stun. I run the stun Theo Stone, so I feel like that 3% chance is basically that 3% Theo Stone. So I'm able to take that off. I was using the 20% seals chance until yesterday. However, because of how this level 16 skill works and the fact that I want to be able to have this skill up as much as possible, I felt like having more procs in 10 seconds versus having an extra 20% meant more, pretty much. So what I mean by that is I'm always gonna hit this move pretty much by ignoring block and evasion and landing as a multi-hit. It's gonna do big damage. And now when I block, this skills move is gonna be reset. So not only am I getting a proc off of rushing smash, every time I block, I'm gonna be getting this, and have it should hit, right, because it's ignoring block evasion, and I have a 40% chance to steal, excuse me, to seal you off as well, on top of the fact that I have my seal Theo Stone going on. So that's kind of why I was like, it's probably okay to remove the seal, and just get that 25% chance to activate, to reactivate the cooldown and reset it, because we should have this up almost all of the time, and this does big damage, big damage. This is probably like second or third hardest hitting skill in our kit, especially in PvP. I would say if you are a Chanter and you are struggling in PvP, it's probably because you are not using Heatwave Blow correctly. So focus on proccing this and hitting your opponent with it, because it will make a very big difference in your fights. Okay, so recuperation. I thought recuperation actually got a buff and they changed this to a mobile skill, but that was actually healing touch. We'll be going over the stigmas here in a second. But I do have mine at level 16, so we get the extra 10% max health, and then we get the minus 3 seconds on cooldown. This is another skill that if I have some pretty good RNG and was to prio something, it probably would be recuperation, and I would just get the extra 4-second duration, so that you're pretty much overlapping and your healing's crazy. The skill does not have a long enough cast time, I felt like, to warrant having the mobile skill. The mobile skill is good, and I will never say it's a bad thing to choose, but this is just kind of how I've chosen it, more so because of how powerful that 10% HP is. Right, next, we have Tremor Crush. Tremor Crush is a skill I would actually love to have at level 16, for similar reasons that I have Impactful Crush at 16. That extra 25% stun chance is insanely strong, and I would definitely remove this over the multi-hit. The chain skill is good. I just feel like having a 30% chance to hit the airborne off of a stun, it just doesn't feel good. If it was a higher chance that you got that knockup, cool. But really, Tremor Crush is basically just our re-engage tool. We're a class that we're not gonna overly excel by being in somebody's face 100% of the time. We do have some uptime and some downtime in our DPS window. That's pretty obvious. Being able to get the knockup, like I said, is nice, but being able to just have this do extra damage, and you have that 10-meter range for the stun, I just think makes that much more difference. I also use this more in PvE as well, because the chain skill, like I said, it hits hard, but you can get kind of stuck in the animation. Sometimes that can kill you. So not to say chain skill is bad. Don't not use this. 300% mana on hit is also really good. But for PvP, this is just kind of what I've decided to do. Once I get this to 16, I will drop the multi-hit for the stun chance. Next, we have Spinning Strike. So this Spinning Strike is another spot where we have a chance to seal. We did also give this an extra skills, 30% skill speed. With the combat speed buff, we have this hits extremely fast, and it feels really good to be able to use. A nice little combo that we learned pretty early with some of my Chanter boys in our guild is the combination of Spinning Strike and Heatwave Blow on the bar. Heatwave Blow, since it procs, and this is something that any class can use, is if you have a skill that needs a proc that is non-active, and requires something to get it active, like I have Heatwave Blow and I have Dark Rush also here, Gust Rampage is also here. You can put that skill first in on on your hotkey, and then put whatever active skill that is probably going to be online and that maybe you want to combo with. So this is really nice because you'll be proccing your heat wave blow, so you'll be slamming that off, and then when you hit a second time, right, you'll be going straight into spinning strike. So you're doing almost 20k damage just from these two moves, and you have two different instances to seal your opponent off, which is going to be really strong for you, to basically make it so they can't do anything. You do, like I said, you do big damage, they can't do anything. You stay on top of them, especially in those moments, and you just are autoing. You don't even necessarily have to do anything too crazy. You just want to kind of auto weave and proc a stun, and then go into your wave blow combos from there. Once they're unsealed, right, you're back into using your skills off cooldown, and have to use those. Yep, so same thing, and it's kind of the same thing I did over here with wave blow. Like I said, this skill needs something to proc. This procs it pretty consistently, and this is a very, very common combo that you're going to use Impactful Crush into a wave flow. Okay, that's it for the active skills. We did get a tweak to Earth's Promise, so now we actually reduce damage tolerance from where our attack is over 75%. So basically we did get tankier in a way. So not only we now have the chance to lower somebody's damage boost, we are also adding damage tolerance. Excuse me, we're not getting tankier. We're reducing their damage tolerance, meaning we're doing a lot more damage. 20% is kind of nuts, actually, especially with some of the other buffs that we got. Cool. So next, I'll talk about the Stigmas, what I've been using. I do still use Obliterate. This is only for PvE, though. For PvP, if I go to the arena and have some 1v1s, I will use Focus Defense. It's just goated for 1v1s. You need it. You proc Heat Wave Blow off of this as well, so just kind of think about that. Like I said, reprocking things. And it's also going to be blocking and parrying it, so it does have that chance to reset the cooldown as well. So really good to be able to use. If I was to go up to this, I may go to level 5 and get the consecutive cast. I think if you play it correctly, you really only need one. 20-second cooldown really isn't that long. So yeah, and like I said, you'll be proccing Heat Wave Blow other ways. It's just nice to have a nice little burst window that you just block and seal somebody away. It completely wrecks somebody's day. There's another skill, like I said, in 1v1s, if you're not using this, maybe not. I don't think it's necessary, but it can be a skill check, is what I'll say. So next we have Undefeated Mantra. This got a huge buff. So now instead of attack and defense, we have damage boost and damage tolerance. So not only do I have an extra 20% damage boost, I also knock down your damage tolerance by almost 20%. That's an extra 40% damage. Think about that, just from like proccing effects on you if I'm at above a certain max HP. Next we have damage tolerance, so we're just 20% tankier, which feels amazing. We have the extra 100% crit and accuracy, which just feel good. This 100% accuracy, or excuse me, this 100 accuracy has been loved. Like I said, that's one of the main things I've been working on, is building in some accuracy, just so that I can deal with evasion users. Next, if this is going to be the first skill, I'm going to keep pushing. I don't know if I'll go all the way to 20, or when I'll get to 20. This 5% smite is very important, really, really strong. But this 10% crit damage boost is necessary. So that is going to be my next real push within my character, is to get this extra 10% crit damage boost. I have also been working on finishing up my PvP Divanium board points, just pushing that to the tier 3 within the shop. And then I'm pretty much going to be slamming until I get to the 15% Undefeated Mantra. Yeah, just too good. This mantra just got so freaking busted. Okay. All right. So I didn't want to. I'll mention some of the other changes before I get into my other skills. Healing Touch is now a mobile skill. That's pretty much it. Spirit Mantra. I have a lot of actually faith that this skill now is what is going to allow us to be on par with being a solo healer, is what I'll say. We're never going to touch what cleric healing does. Like I said, we are a We are a class that excels of being right in the middle, good at everything, but not the best at anything. But Spirit Mantra is going to really help us bridge the gap between how good of a healer we are. And I do believe getting it to level 15 is going to be extremely important. Getting the extra, basically double to your healing. For instance, my recuperation usually heals me for like 5k to 10k if you include the regeneration. The 10% is usually about like 2.5 to 2k, and then this actually I feel like it's super wrong. It is never 1600. It's usually like 2 to another 2 to 3k, or 2.5. It usually comes up to about 5k that I see off of the burst, 4 to 5k, and like I said, another 4k off of it. So just think of that. I am now doubling that. I'm now getting 20k healing off of one healing touch, off of one recuperation. So that's insane. And that basically is going to heal somebody all the way up to full. On top of the fact that you're already boosting it by another 10% before you even get there. You will also be giving your team combat speed and some natural stamina regen. Bumping this up to 20 is actually really nice. I do like that, and I think that this, like I said, I think that this just revives Sprint Mantra. I loved Sprint Mantra. I had mine at 10 for so long. Then they mixed it with the healing mantra and made it terrible. So I literally removed all of my skills, and now they've changed it again. And now it's good. I'll be honest, I don't know how much I'm gonna build into it right now because I am more so a DPS focused chanter. But if you are I'm more of a support role chanter, definitely get this to 15 because it is going to make a huge difference on how you feel as a healer within your parties. I would never say go one over the other. Undefeated is necessary, but like I said, if you're going healing, you definitely want this. All right, we'll go over fracturing blow. Fracturing blow, we got a couple, well, I guess the last buff, and fracturing blow is insane. You need fracturing bow if you are a chancer. This skill does insane damage. The extra 20%, if you hit basically somebody who's stunned, is insane. You basically hit impactful crush and just hit this into wave blow, and most people die. It's just that insane. And this will usually chunk somebody for like half of their health bar. It's insane how hard this move hits. And I love it because they not only did they give us another dash, they gave us a dash that it makes the most sense to do once we've stunned somebody, to bridge that gap between our long range CCs and being able to bridge the gap to get into that wave blow. It almost makes it so that you don't have to use the 6 meter range on wave blow, but I just, the 6 meter range just feels too good. There's so many times where maybe this is on cooldown where you still need that range on it. Next, I've gone to Impending Authority. Impending Authority is goated. I was sleeping on this a little bit. I always knew that it was strong, but it is goated for PvP and PvE. It's obviously going to help you through your max and PvE, but anytime you are going up against one of these mage classes, you definitely want to proc this. This has saved my life so many times. So yeah, just use Impending Authority. Use it to pre-buff fights or mitigate damage. I have the issue of ping, so I'm able to pop this and be able to mitigate a lot of the damage that's about to happen to me. It really helps me from just not getting one shot, and as long as you don't get one shot as a chanter, 9 times out of 10, or I'll say like 8 times out of 10, if somebody can't one shot you, you're gonna win that fight. So Impending Authority can help that facilitate that. And the big thing is they've lost their burst, their main burst. I'm also using Ensnaring Mark. I love this skill. I love this skill so much that the range feels good, the root feels amazing, the seal feels amazing, and it hits decently hard. Nice 7k up here. One thing I would say, and I would change for this, is if I was ever, and when I do, I should say, when I get to 15, like if I get this to 15, I will switch it for Marchetan's Wrath. Marchetan's Wrath, as you can see, it does still more damage at levels 1 than it would the Ensnaring Mark. It's just that the root and seal are too valuable not to respect with the Ensnaring Mark. However, if you get this to 15 and even 20, which, like I said, we have a stun Theo zone, so this doesn't necessarily, like, this is nice. We basically get 2 chances at 3%, but really we just want this to get to the 50% incoming heal and potion. This is going to basically help us kill everybody. Everybody in this game has some type of sustainability, and this is basically your way to burst somebody down. It's a really nice way also to execute. It's probably this skill at like level 15 probably hits anywhere from 10 to 12k, and yeah, it'll do 20% more damage if it's a solo target. It'll slow them, keep them, allow you to stay on top of them. Root, air quotes, right? And then the real value is in that anti-heal. Is that everything in terms of changes? That's pretty much it, honestly, in terms of changes. One thing I'll show y'all that has, like I said, has made my build feel so good is I've been stacking combat speed. I'm at 44% combat speed. Usually I'm sitting closer to like 50%. I'm not sure where that where I lost like 6% or 6 to 10%. But I was basically building this and not getting the effect or value of it at all. I had all of my skills moving and grooving, and I just never got affected by combat speed. So now that I am, like I said, feels incredible. So, but that is all for today. Sorry I talked y'all's head off, but that is the new buff to Chanter. If for any of you guys who have stayed, I appreciate you guys so much. Stay tuned for more Aion 2 content coming to you. If you haven't already, definitely like and subscribe. And then go ahead and follow me on Twitch. That's where you can catch me live. Without further ado, I will catch you guys on the next one.